Yeah, I know this is not a current model, definitely not a current model, but you can pick these up for an absolute bargain now, and yeah, they're worth looking at. So this is the Nike Zoom Structure 19. My God, they do crank these things out. This is a road stability shoe. In terms of stability, I would personally classify this as a mid-level of stability. As soon as you put it on, you definitely feel it's a stability shoe. And to be frank, it kind of makes it fairly obvious with this kind of midsole construction that you can see there. Not overpowering, definitely noticeable, and you feel a good amount of support for people who do pronate a little bit more than maybe they should do. In a UK size 11, this one's coming in at 389 grams, which is 13 3/4 ounces, a little bit porky maybe on the weight front there, and it's got a 9mm heel to toe drop. You've got a decent amount of rubber on the outsole there, and you have their fly mesh upper, and it's got the fly wire technology there as well to keep it all nice laced up and secure. Also, for a stability shoe, surprisingly flexible actually. It's definitely got this sort of point right there in the middle where you can see it's got, well, different types of rubber and foam, and that's obviously the hinge point, but yeah, it's actually pretty good on the old flexibility front, as I say, especially for a stability shoes, which sometimes they can be a little bit more chunky monkeys. So what is great and what is not so great about this shoe? Well, let's start off with what is great. First of all, I think this is it's a funky looking shoe, isn't it? Well, I think so. It comes in a variety of different colorways, as you would imagine from Nike. I like this. I think this is this sort of vivid orangey red color. I think it's orange. Let's go with orange. I like this. I like the way that the mesh is designed. I like the way that it sort of has this sort of simple, cool look to it. I'm not overly struck with this design feature here with regards to how it looks, but all in all, I do like the look of this shoe. In terms of grip from the outsole, yeah, no issues. I've even run in some fairly atrocious conditions in this shoe, and it's performed admirably, so excellent there. In terms of the cushioning and the ride, they've actually got 3 different types of foam within this shoe. There's a lot going on to give it its stability credentials, and the ride is good. The ride is nice. It feels energetic. It doesn't feel clunky. Sometimes stability shoes can feel a little bit, I don't know, like they're maybe a little bit restricted or just a bit clunky or a bit heavy. Although this is not a light shoe, it does feel quite lively. I really enjoyed this on those sort of middle distance runs. So it will do the distance runs fine, the long grindy ones, and I've used it for that. But I find because it's the cushioning, it's not super soft, it's quite responsive. I found when you want that little bit more spring, so you still want some cushioning, but you also want something a little bit more lively as well, when you're just picking up the pace a little bit. I found this really comes into its own for me in those middle distances. Yes, it will do longer and shorter runs, of course it will. It can be a good all-rounder, but that's when I really started to appreciate the shoe. And the stability, to be frank, it does sort of fade into the background as you're running along. I think one of the other key things is the shoe feels like it gets all the little bits right. The upper, the toe box, just feels fantastic. Just the right amount of room for your toes to splay, feels very comfy, doesn't feel restricted. The fly wire, the way that the shoe goes across sort of the top of your foot there, felt great. Nice and comfy. It does have the extra holes if you feel that you want to secure the heel in with the lace lock technique, but it just, all the little bits kind of just feel right, like they've really spent some time chipping off any little rough edges. I mean, with version 19, one would expect that. You would imagine that if there were any rough edges in versions 1, 2, 3, 4, well, up, you know, up to 18, that by now this should be, and that's my neighbour's dog barking. There we go. Another thing that sort of impresses me is I have done quite a few miles on this and it's holding up really well. I feel that this is a shoe that you could grind out an awful lot of miles in and it would still look good, it would still do a good job. I've got no breakdown whatsoever. I think this thing's just going to go and go and go, and that's always nice to know that you've got a product that's got some good longevity to it. As regards to things that are not so great, well, the only thing I've kind of really observed, which I've mentioned already, is it's a little bit of a porker, a little bit on the heavy side. I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit lighter, but really, I haven't got anything to complain about, because as I say, it's got all the little bits that you want a shoe to do. It either does well or it does perfectly adequately. There's nothing that I've found particularly to criticise. And I've run in some atrocious conditions, I've run in nice conditions, short runs, medium, long runs. I've done a lot of miles in this and I like it. In fact, I liked it so much, I've actually bought the newer version of these, which I will review soon. But if you do see this online or in a shop and you're thinking, yeah, I might give that a try because it would be a bargain price, it's really worth it. I've really enjoyed running in this shoe. I have fun with it. As I say, I like the ride. I like that it's got the support there, it's got the stability, but it's also got a kind of energy. It's got a fun factor to it. Sort of puts a smile on my face. I feel quite good when I run with this shoe and I just like it. It's like the secret sauce is nothing outstanding, it's just lots of little things done well. And that's good, that's great. Definitely a 5-star shoe for me. And the fact that if you are looking at this, you're probably looking at it a bargain price because it is an old model, as I say, you're going to be getting a really good quality shoe for, I would imagine, not much money. And with that, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.